Hey everybody, continuing the trip that we were just talking about. I said that we were going to record last night, but I lied. It's the next day. We waited until the following afternoon to continue our little trip through Monterey, Big Sur, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, back to Crescent City. And we're picking up where we left off. The night before, we had just gotten Nico's ice cream, and now it's the following morning in Monterey. And we decided that we wanted to go and check out a couple of, I guess really, we were going to look at one bakery, and then I found a donut shop, and on the way to the donut shop, we passed another place that you had seen that had really good reviews. So we stopped at Ad Astra Bread Company in the little downtown area.
Yeah, I guess.
Downtown area of Monterey, and got an almond quince croissant. We only got one thing from there. Quince?
I honestly have no idea.
I didn't even look it up to see what
quince.
Quince was, but it was really good. I still don't know if it even had like a traditional almond paste.
I didn't get any flavor of an almond paste. It just had, to me, it just seemed to have toasted almonds on top.
Flaked toasted almonds or sliced toasted almonds and then powdered sugar.
Powdered
so we
sugar
did that.
Is the devil.
Really enjoyed that. Went to Red's Donuts.
Don't need to go back there.
Don't need to go back to Red's. We got an apple fritter. Don't need the apple fritter again. We got a chocolate covered with sprinkles. Didn't necessarily care for that.
There was nothing wrong with them. They just weren't worth the calories to us.
No, not really. Not when you have Ad Astra right literally
a couple doors down.
A few doors down.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to Ad Astra. And then we also went to Alta Bakery and Cafe, which doesn't share the same little stretch as the donut shop in Ad Astra did. It was at the end of the road, kind of across the street, but it's still the same area.
They're all within a quarter mile of each other.
You can walk to them all.
That far.
So we went to Alta Bakery and Cafe and got a chocolate banana strudel.
Which neither of us knew what a strudel was. And it's just like I really don't know how it's any different than a filled croissant, because it's laminated dough.
Yeah, it was
with a filling.
Yeah.
But it's shaped differently. And it was delicious.
Really good.
So good.
Instead of splitting this up, because we went the next day. So do you want to say we went the next day and then wait until we get to the next day to say everything that we got? Or do you just want to cover everything that we got from the bakeries right now?
I would say we can talk about it for the next day.
Okay. So we got our baked goods, and then, as usual, we needed to go somewhere to sit and drink coffee. So Whitney found us public parking at the Coast Guard Pier at San Carlos Beach. I think technically it's a paid parking lot until you can park for free until 9 a.m.
Yeah, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think is paid.
So we were there
$2 an hour, or $1.75 an hour, but we were there well before 9.
We were there
well,
early.
I say well before. We got there at 8:15 and drank our coffee and ate a couple of our goodies, and we're gonna walk, but I decided I wanted to be cheap and not pay for parking, so we drove out to Pacific Grove. Isn't that the name of it?
Yeah.
We went out to Pacific Grove. Didn't we do that morning?
Yeah. I was just thinking about the guys that were swimming whenever we were sitting at the pier.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to see some guys do, I guess, their definition of a polar plunge. It wasn't cold enough outside, and I doubt the water was cold enough to be, if anybody's ever done a real polar plunge, they would probably roll their eyes at that being a polar plunge.
But we also saw some scuba divers. There was a
big group of scuba divers going out there.
Apparently there's always, from what I read, always scuba diving. I was trying to find a place to go sit and look for otters. Obviously, that's what I do, look for otters, because I love them. So I was in a Reddit thread, and people were saying that you'll always see scuba divers right there.
Otters, the raccoon of the sea.
Why?
I don't know.
They're so cute.
It just sounded good at the moment. But yeah, we sat there, drank our coffees, ate a couple of our snacks, and then went to the Monterey Bay Coastal Trail, where we ended up having to pay for a meter anyway.
Because we didn't drive another, quarter mile down the road where the free parking starts. So if you go to Monterey, Pacific Grove area, if you go farther out on the
on the
I think it's
coast.
the peninsula. I think
Yeah.
it's the Monterey Bay Peninsula. If you go farther out towards Pacific Grove, you do get to free street parking.
And
Just FYI.
it fills up throughout the day, but if you get there early in the morning, like
There was
pre 10 a.m., there was a ton of
there was a
parking.
plethora of open parking. But that trail, do you remember how long I said that trail is? I want to say that the Monterey, what did you call it? Monterey Bay Coastal Trail, I want to say is like close to 20 miles point to point.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Because you remember when we were driving to Santa Cruz,
It continued.
It just keeps going.
I guess I remember you saying that. I didn't think about it just being the same trail, but
Yeah.
we did that. We walked to Lovers Point, which is in Pacific Grove.
Yeah.
So we got a solid 3-mile walk in.
Yeah, I think we did between 3 and 4.
Trying to wear the dog out, which she wanted nothing to do with it.
She was good. She was great.
Okay.
Don't be so judgy. And we saw lots of otters.
We did see lots of otters.
We saw lots of otters, and then
Birds.
we saw, was it harbor seals? What were on the coast or on the beach?
Harbor seals? It was harbor seals.
We saw some harbor seals flopping around like little maniacs.
Yeah.
But the otters were the best. We saw some, I don't know what they're doing. Or are they
slapping their bellies?
Slapping their belly, cracking some sort of mollusk open to eat.
They're trying to get their form of a donut. You got your donuts, let the otters have their donuts. Mm-hmm. Let the sea raccoons eat their trash.
But yeah, that was a really good walk. For the scenery was really pretty, and
it was really pretty. That was the closest thing we've seen as far as a coastline goes.
I know what you're going to compare it to.
Mendocino.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, I guess, Mendocino. Is there more elevation at Mendocino? Is it cliffier?
It was a little bit cliffier, and the one in Mendocino is not paved.
That is a dirt trail, so which doesn't bother me. If it was nasty weather and muddy, then it would bother me. But when we were in Mendocino, it wasn't bad.
It was nice weather.
But the Grove Trail was really pretty. I enjoyed it a lot.
I would definitely. I told Jake I would run every day if we lived somewhere like that and had that trail.
Yeah, that was such a pretty spot. And then we did our walk, and Whitney and I don't know if Whitney talks about it as much as me. I feel like I get wrapped up in talking about how I wish communities spent more money on personal health, physical fitness. I wish more parks had exercise equipment. Nothing crazy, just like give me a pull-up bar, give me some parallel dip bars. We ended up going to El Estero Park, and they have a fitness station. And they even had a little bar where you could rack your foot and do like body weight Bulgarian split squats. I forget what they had the bar even there for, but it was
probably for balance, like a balance beam.
Probably for a balance beam, but it was a nice thing to prop one foot up on and get a lead leg out and just do single leg body weight squats. I mean, do that for 20 reps and your quads are going to be lit up. Do that for 2 or 3 sets. And I don't know, if you can do single leg split squats for moderately high reps, then you will be getting up out of your chair for years to come with ease. So we did that, knocked out just some body weight stuff, some pull-ups.
Just like a 30-minute workout.
It was a quick 30-minute workout. I think I timed it on my watch and it was right at 30 minutes, and that was including warm-up. So we did that just to try to get a workout in. I told Whitney my New Year's resolution is consistency. I want 1 run and 1 workout a week. That's it. I just don't want to miss a single week where I don't get at least 1 run. I don't even care about the distance. And then 1 workout, whether that be in a gym with weights or whether it just be outside body weight, just something to move yourself around.
And little parks like that, or little fitness stations like that at parks, are so nice because we would go to a gym and do a workout, but so many gyms charge so much for a day pass, and when there's
$15, $20 day passes,
2 people doing it to just go and do like a 45-minute workout, it just seems a little obnoxious.
Oh, it's very obnoxious. Go to a gym and spend $40. Like, that's $40 we could spend
on snacks, on
something else. I mean, where's your balance? Would you rather spend it on improving your body or
food?
On laminated dough?
Obviously, I would rather spend it on food because that's what we do.
Yeah, $40 worth of laminated dough is worth it when I can go outside and do body weight squats for free. So finished up our workout, and then we ended up getting back in the van, and we drove Ocean View Boulevard along the coast through Monterey and along Pacific Grove. And we wanted to stop in a couple of places that were really pretty, but I think that was the stretch of road where they had the no parking over 7.5 feet tall signs.
No, I don't
That wasn't there
think
yet.
that was. No, I think that was down in Carmel.
Okay. We drove that section of the road. Just the Ocean View Boulevard was really pretty.
And we just kind of beelined from along that road to
17-mile drive.
Yeah, that
17-mile drive is, I would say, Monterey's scenic road. It is a private road. You have to pay to access it. I think it's well worth the $12 that you pay to access it. You get all day access if you go to a restaurant with your receipt, having paid for access to 17-mile drive. If you spend $35, they refund the price of your admission onto the road. We didn't stop anywhere and eat, so I'm not going to recommend anywhere. I'm not even going to say what places they have over there. You can look it up and pick a place yourself.
Just recommend bringing food and sitting at Bird Rock to watch the animals.
Yeah, Whitney and I 100% recommend bringing your own food.
So when you pay at the pay station to go in, they give you a map with all the different pull-offs listed. And so when we started driving, we kind of looked at the map and looked at what pull-offs we wanted to do. And I don't remember which ones we specifically stopped at besides Bird Rock, because Bird Rock was the highlight to both of us.
We stopped at Bird Rock. We stopped at the Lonely Cypress.
Yeah.
And we tried to stop at one of the groves that you wanted to stop at that's supposed to be one of the oldest cypress growths in the world. But there was no walking trail. So we just kind of sat there and looked for a second and then just continued. But the road's pretty. It's nice. I think you get a best of both worlds. You have multi-million-dollar, I don't know how expensive they were. I would imagine possibly up into the tens of millions of dollars for some of these places. But you have these massive country club houses on the Pebble Beach golf courses on one side, and then beautiful ocean views on the other side. It's a pretty road. Again, I'm going to tell you to drive like you have some sense. I can't tell you how old it gets being the person out there that drives the speed limit and is cognizant of the fact that there are possibly people trying to cross the road to get to and from their cars to viewpoints, and possibly people going for walks, and you're on a scenic drive. So if the main objective for you is to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, then I recommend you join the Porsche Club of America and pay for access to a racetrack. Otherwise, you will be angry and stuck behind me while I'm doing the speed limit, or possibly slower, because I'm not in your hurry.
And I think there were a couple of like golf cart and golf crossings too, weren't there?
It's a golf resort, essentially. What they claim to be the biggest golf resort in the world. So, no. If you get on these scenic roads and you get upset when people are driving slow and enjoying the views and doing the speed limit, you are the problem. They are not. I'm sorry. Go somewhere else. Drove that, saw those turnoffs, enjoyed that. Oh yeah, see, Bird Rock was where the otter was being harassed by the seagull. Yeah. We had our binoculars out, and there was an otter that had come up, and I don't know if he found something on...
Yeah, we couldn't tell if he had anything, but he was just floating on his back, and he had to have had something.
He had something.
He had to have, because this seagull was literally just harassing. The seagull was just floating.
It was a magic kind of floating if he was just floating towards this otter every time the otter surfaced.
But he just kept harassing. The otter would go underwater and move and come up and float in a different place on his back, and then the seagull would just beeline for him again.
Yeah, Bird Rock was really pretty. We enjoyed Bird Rock a lot.
Did we ever figure out was it sea lions or seals that were out there? I don't think we could see them.
We had the binoculars, but I don't know, because there were 3 of them up at the very top of Bird Rock.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And you could tell they were there. I mean, these things were like 30 feet out of the water. I have no idea how they got there. there's no way tide gets that high. And I don't understand how they scaled that rock to
They
get to.
did. They were there.
Yeah, no, they were there. Aliens put them there.
I should have taken a picture of them through the binoculars.
Yeah, I was wondering how the camera on the phone would do looking through the binos. But
I got a picture of the abalone shell once doing that, didn't
Yeah,
I?
you did.
No, it wasn't through the binoculars.
Was it not? I thought you did.
I think I did.
So we did that. Ended up leaving 17-mile drive going south and went through Carmel, and I think it's called Scenic Road. We drove Scenic Road through Carmel, and that was where we had some really pretty spots where we wanted to stop and go for a walk. There were a ton of people out walking.
Yeah.
So it was such a pretty day.
It was a really pretty
All
day,
of
and
those
it's a really
days
pretty
were
walk.
so perfect. And we wanted to get out and walk, but they have parking restrictions for any vehicle above either 7 or 7.5 feet tall, and the van is very much over 7 feet tall. So we didn't meet the requirements necessary to park there. So unfortunately, we did not get to go for a walk there, but we did go to Carmel Meadows Trail, which is kind of an obscured trail. It's in the back of a neighborhood. It has a trailhead. It has parking, but it felt like it was kind of off the beaten path because you had to drive through a neighborhood to get to it.
I need more description. I don't remember.
Carmel Meadows Trail was the trail where I wandered off to go pee out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. In front of people's houses.
In front of people's houses. They paid millions of dollars to watch me pee that day.
You did turn your back to them.
I did turn my back to them. Yeah, that was where I went over there and peed.
I do remember that now. And that was the loop where we started off up high and then went down the steps to the beach.
And then took the steps back up to the parking lot.
Truly go to the beach. It was a trail. It was a nice trail too.
It was nice.
And that trail continued. I don't remember. I don't think I recorded it on all trails, but I don't remember if the whole thing was called Carmel Meadows Trail or if it was.
I don't know. But it was
that
pretty.
one looked, and that was not paved.
It was not paved.
It was in good condition, and it continued on.
And it's a good one to go to because it can only get so crowded.
Well, you remember when Sandy pooped and I was looking for a trash can, and I was like, oh, that looks like a trash can way over there by that parked car. So there is another parking area to access.
Yeah, there is more parking lot in order to access that area.
From a different spot.
But even the spot that we parked at, there was no more real parking. So technically it was full. We parked on the shoulder of the road up the hill.
Well, there's only I don't even know if that's considered a park. It's literally the end of a parking or the end of a street in front of someone's house where the street continues past the L intersection, and it was 3 cars, and then everybody else was parked on the street in front of people's houses.
So that parking area was crowded. And then I didn't get a great look at the parking area that you're referencing, but I feel like there were a fair number of cars over there. But even for the number of vehicles that were there, the trail itself did not feel crowded at all. We were never on top of anybody. We might have crossed paths with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. When you looking at pictures, are you looking at all trails?
No, I'm trying to pull up all trails.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right.
You want me to continue on from there?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to really cover with that. I think from there we continued south. If I remember correctly, we went to Soberane.
I don't know. You're asking me how to say these things, and I definitely don't know.
Soberane Point Trail to Whale Peak Trail. We ended up, this was another one where I hate this section of road. So you have to park on the shoulder of the road, and there's no real easy way to back into a spot so that you can nose back out onto the road. And this section of road, the speed limit's 55. It's a known area for hikers to go. It should be easily a 35 mile per hour speed zone.
When we were walking to the trail after we got parked and somebody was turning into a parking spot, literally blinker on, they were most of the way off the road.
And it's not even a random spot that they're just turning and you're like, why are you turning here? It's obviously there are dozens of cars parked here. And somebody laid on the horn because this person had the audacity to come to a reasonable speed in order to turn off the shoulder of the road. This isn't a parking lot. This is literally just parking 3 feet off the shoulder of the road. Again, people, you're not in that big a hurry. I guarantee you're not that important of a person. You are not headed to a meeting where tens of millions or hundreds of millions of business doings rely on your opinion and your expertise. You are going nowhere.
You don't know this.
If somebody is trying to park their vehicle at a trailhead, at least they're going out and doing something. I can almost guarantee the best you're doing is going home to turn on your TV and sit in your recliner.
I cannot find the trail that we did.
Well,
oh well.
The trail that we did, you talking about at Whale Peak that I'm talking about now?
No,
you still looking for Carmel Meadows?
I am.
Okay. Well, Sabarain Point, we crossed the street and followed the trail out to, I guess, somewhat of an overlook, and then took that and wrapped that around the, I would say, mountain. It wasn't quite a mountain,
Hill.
But up to Whale Peak Trail, and sat at Whale Peak and drank a couple of beers, and were pleasantly surprised that we could see some whales out spouting, playing in the water. We got a cup. What's the term for whenever they flash their tails?
I have no idea.
We got a couple. We had the binos again. We had a couple of spots where we could just barely see their tails breaking out of the water. They were far out there, so it wasn't like great views or anything, but it was still fun to sit there and see, I don't know, easily 6 different whales that were either feeding or just traveling by.
Yeah, whatever
just
they were doing.
Drinking our beers and watching the whales and enjoying ourselves and enjoying being outside in beautiful weather. Are you just going to play on your phone?
I'm reading your note.
Oh, I was going to... So that, sat there, watched the whales, drank a beer, and then Whitney had schoolwork that she had to do. We made it back to the van before we left this area and jumped the curb in order to get back on the road.
We made it no incident.
Without incident. We didn't cause any disturbances. We didn't ruin anybody's day and slow
jump
anybody
the curb
down.
Makes it sound like we did something on accident. We had like a what?
There was a heck of a
6-inch drop. Probably not that big.
Yeah, there was a heck of a shoulder drop off to get back onto the road. We were on an angle. I wasn't sure the 9,000-pound van was going to make its way up the hill just to get to the road. And then we get to the road and it has to jump easily 4-inch shoulder to get onto the road itself.
In reverse.
In reverse.
With maniacs driving down the road.
So we did that. Whitney had schoolwork that she had to do. We still had a little bit of daylight left, and we had our receipt for accessing 17 Mile Drive. So we decided that it just made sense to go back to Bird Rock and sit there so that Whitney could do schoolwork. We could shower. We could eat dinner. We drank one more beer over there. By that time, it was dark, and we were just waiting to get kicked out of the parking lot by security because we didn't figure the millionaires wanted the van people sitting in their parking lot all night long.
Which we did not get kicked out. We stayed till what? 7:30, 8 o'clock?
Well after dark.
Yeah, it was
well
dark,
after I would have figured they
But
would
it
have
wasn't
come
like
through.
super late, or it's not like we were there until 10 or 11 at night.
No, we were definitely not there that late. Sat there, did that, went to our camping spot for the night, and then the next morning we were back to the Bakeries because we were leaving that day, I believe. So we wanted to give the Bakeries a fair shot and see if everything they made was as good as the stuff we got the first day, because I feel like it doesn't feel right to put somebody on the best of list if you only get one thing from them. So I feel like we kind of owed it to ourselves to go back and give them...
And the Bakeries.
So we went back to Ad Astra, and I think Ad Astra the next day was hit or miss. We both enjoyed the ginger scone.
I can't ever remember which. Ad Astra
was the one that was in the strip.
Next to the donut shop?
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't... That's not where the ginger scone came from.
I guarantee it's where the ginger scone came from. How much do you want to put on it? How much do you want to bet? Can I buy my sunglasses if you're wrong?
I've told you to get sunglasses.
The ginger scone absolutely came. Oh no, Alta. Ad Astra. I'm confused.
Which one's next to the donut shop?
Oh, I can't buy my sunglasses. You're right, I'm wrong. No, Ad Astra was the brioche bun. We only got the brioche bun from Ad Astra.
And that's the one by the donut shop.
That's the one by the donut shop.
I told you.
I'm sitting here looking at my notes, and my notes obviously say Alta, but I'm looking at the words below it, and I'm like, yeah. But we both know I'm wrong more than I'm right. If you say it with enough I can convince other people I'm right just with
me.
sheer confidence. You see through it, so it doesn't work. So, rewinding, going back to the beginning, back before Jake was wrong and Whitney was right, we went to Ad Astra and we got a brioche bun that I loved. You weren't such a fan of.
Yeah, it was okay to me. It just, I don't know, it needed more going on.
It was just a bun of brioche.
I felt like it needed
with
a little
sugar on top.
The little sugar crunchies were delicious. I felt like it needed just a little bit more sweetness to be what I wanted it to be.
You wanted it to be like a brioche bun Danish with like a cream cheese filling or something.
No, it was good. I liked the texture of it and everything. I just wanted
Imagine
it to be...
that dipped into some like strawberry jam.
Mm.
Yeah, with some butter.
I was going to say, or the strawberry butter that Alexis sent me a picture of.
Compound strawberry butter. So we got that. I was more of a fan of it than Whitney was. I think I added Ad Astra to the list of best of bakeries. I'm not sure Whitney would do that. So next we went to Alta Baking.
What'd we get at Alta?
At Alta, we opened up with a ginger scone that we both really enjoyed. We never get scones. I don't feel like scone was necessarily the fair way to go, but we've both been kind of on a ginger kick.
Yeah, and we do occasionally get scones, but we had essentially given up on getting scones because every time we do, we're disappointed.
These were good.
This was a good scone. Like, it was, scone is still not like our baked good of choice.
Still prefer
baked
biscuit.
Good of choice. Yeah, that's right. But it was, we both said we would actually get it again.
I would absolutely get it again.
So, I mean, scones are just not, they're kind of dry and crumbly.
Dry and crumbly, which is not at all. I guess I go for like crispy cookies more than you do.
Definitely.
But we definitely tend to stick to soft, flaky, buttery, half-baked type things. But this was a really good scone. We also got the blueberry strudel, which I wouldn't have to get again. If they had strudel and they had banana chocolate, I would get banana chocolate.
We went back intending to get another strudel, but the day before when we got the banana
chocolate, they had an apple.
And we were hoping to get the apple, but they didn't have apple that day. They had banana chocolate and blueberry. And the blueberry was fine.
It was just blueberry. Like, it didn't have much flavor.
Yeah. But I mean, it was still a good strudel.
It's nothing against blueberries. It's just, it's hard to get a lot of flavor. I imagine they were probably using organic blueberries, and like, there's nothing wrong with using good blueberries. It's just so hard to get a good flavor out of blueberries, which some people love blueberries. I feel like there are good blueberries and there are not so good blueberries, and those were just very
mediocre
blueberries. We got a cinnamon bloom, and that thing was an experience. They bake it in the paper.
It was like a pull-apart. Cinnamon bloom was like a pull-apart cinnamon bread, but it was baked in like a muffin tin, so it was individual serving size.
Yeah, and then it was individual blocks of like enriched dough pieced together and welded together with caramelized sugar. The problem with that is the caramel then adheres to the paper that they bake it in, and you either don't eat that piece of bread because it has paper attached to it permanently, or you just eat the paper and you hope that it's healthy paper, which we ate the paper. I don't know. It passed just fine, if you were wondering. It was good. I think we would get it again. Some of those pieces were just so good, just super buttery, brioche type, sugary, cinnamony bites of goodness. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. The caramelized pieces were really good. My only gripe is that the paper stuck to it, and there's not much you can do about that. You either don't bake it in paper and you have other issues, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure they've played with it before, and their best solution, their best thing that they've come up with for the blooms is to just bake it in paper and let it.
Well, I wonder if they like grease or spray the paper or something, and we just got one that wasn't greased or sprayed well.
That's very possible. So we finished at the Bakeries, and
that was when we went and parked by the fitness center.
We did park by the fitness center.
We were back in Monterey, so we parked at the fitness center, the outdoor fitness center at, what'd you say, El Estero Park?
El Estero Park.
Because that was like, a couple hundred yards from the Monterey Coastal Trail, and
the Monterey Coastal Trail
parking right there by the fitness center was free.
Yeah, so we parked
were able
over
to park
there
for free.
We weren't worried about parking in a super pretty spot. It wasn't that big of a concern, and it was free. So we took that, went on to the Coastal Trail, and went on about a 2-mile walk. We didn't do anything crazy. Yet again, Sandy was being a drama queen and wanted nothing to do with walking. We went through the pier, the boardwalk area, and looked at some of the touristy stuff over there. Nothing was really open yet. It was only 9 or 10 in the morning, so nobody was open for lunch quite yet. A sweet little Spanish woman tried to lure us in with, what'd she say?
I think she just said breakfast.
She said something. I forget what she said, though. I have tacos and beer. That's not what she said, but that would have been what she needed to say to lure me in.
At 9 o'clock in the morning.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, I would have been like a trash panda to a slice of cake, just wandering in, eyes glazed over. So finished our walk, went back to the van, got loaded up, and we decided that we were going to make our way down to Big Sur.
We decided, we were going to drive as far as we could on Big Sur.
I was putting my phone on silent. Nothing had gone off yet, but I was like, I might get a notification, and then I put it on silent, and it buzzes, so it makes a noise anyway.
We decided we were going to drive all the way down Highway 1 to where it's closed.
Yep, from a rock slide?
In Big Sur, from a rock slide. So I'm not sure how long it's been closed, how long it's going to be closed, but we went down all the way to the end. But
before we got there, we stopped at Calla Lily Valley. So if you look at that area in Carmel by the sea, there's a really pretty spot that we stopped at to drink a bottle of wine. The Calla Lily Valley, where the calla lilies are in bloom. They were in bloom when we went through there. They smell really pretty. They look really pretty.
I wonder if there will be more at any point in time. Like, I don't know when like peak bloom season is.
I don't either. If you look at it on Google Maps, there are people that have taken pictures there, and there are just a ton of them.
Oh, okay.
But I was surprised that there were even as many as there were when we went.
Considering it's January.
Considering it's winter and it's snowing outside right now.
It was not snowing there, just FYI.
So Calla Lily Valley, I would recommend stopping. It takes a little bit of a walk to get down to the beach because the steps are out of order, but you can always just People.
The steps are roped off for a reason.
They're roped off? No, let them climb the steps. If they get hurt, the steps are roped off. It's their responsibility at that point. The city can be like, no, I'm not paying your medical bills. I roped it off. You did this on your own.
The steps are roped off and closed if you park at the parking area. But you can walk
go to Calla Lily Valley and you're at the beach.
Half a mile down to see the lilies, and then there's steps. There's like a path down to the beach.
Yeah, an accessible path.
It's not hard.
Maybe not handicap accessible path.
Definitely
it's an
not
accessible path.
But the stairs aren't handicap accessible either.
So we took the dog down to the beach, let her run around for a little while. We drank a bottle of wine. We had a Vino Verde that's been burning a hole in our wine box.
Stewing under the bed for a hot minute.
Stewing under the bed. So we decided we'd go over there and enjoy a bottle of wine and enjoy the ocean. It was a really pretty spot to sit and just enjoy ourselves for a little while. We then continued down to the end of Highway 1 to Big Sur, where the road's closed.
Not the end of Highway 1, but the end of what we could get to.
The end of the section of Highway 1 that's accessible from the north. I don't know the name of the turnoff that we went to where we stopped and ate lunch, but it was really pretty. It was down towards near where the road is closed. It's a pretty section. I said this when we were there. I don't think Big Sur is any prettier than most other sections of the California coast. The California and Oregon coast is just amazing. I would certainly go to that area to watch the ocean if I was nearby it, but I definitely wouldn't drive down there. We have hikes that we want to go do.
Yeah,
but I certainly wouldn't go back just for the ocean views.
Yeah, the ocean
I don't know if that's what everybody gets wrapped up on for Big Sur. I doubt a lot of people go to Big Sur and they're like, oh, the hiking's amazing. Most people probably go down to Big Sur and look at the ocean and think about how beautiful it is. There's so much beautiful ocean driving in Central California, Northern California, Oregon coast.
I definitely want to go back and do some hikes, though. There's a couple of state parks, maybe 3 different Big Sur state parks right there, but none of the hikes are dog friendly, so we felt like we had done enough abandoning of the puppy.
Yeah, it wasn't completely necessary. And we also kind of wanted to get north of Monterey that day and get up to Santa Cruz. So we ate lunch down at one of the turnouts and finished our drive in Big Sur and just jumped back on Highway 1 and ran north and went to Santa Cruz. Stopped at, I think the first place we stopped at was actually Verve Coffee Roasters in Santa Cruz. And I have not been able to accept big city California coffee prices. They had 12-ounce bags of single origin coffee in excess of $25, which I absolutely refuse to pay. I will buy locally roasted coffee in Crescent City for way cheaper than that before I just have to have nice single origin coffee from some of these big city roasters in California. We got a blend. There's nothing wrong with blends. I just normally stick with single origin. We got a blend for $19 for a 12-ounce bag, which, relative speaking, is still expensive. I can normally get single origin for less than $20 for a 12-ounce bag. I can sometimes find 16-ounce bags for the same price depending on the roaster. But this is just me complaining about coffee that I'm sure no one listening to this cares about. We went to West Cliff Drive and parked the van. What?
Nothing.
We went to West Cliff Drive, which is, I would call it the boardwalk of a section of Santa Cruz. Free parking, oceanside paved sidewalk, and we decided to go for a 4-mile run. So we knocked out a quick 4-mile run. Did that. Enjoyed it.
It was nice. It was paved. It was a nice wide pathway. It was really crowded.
It was really crowded. I didn't think it was too bad. It wasn't.
It was doable for sure.
It wasn't like a bustling New York City street, but it was a lot of people. It was more people than we normally have to contend with whenever we go for a run.
It was also a struggle for me because on the way out, we were running into the sun.
Oh, the sun.
I couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
it was a struggle.
You almost crashed us.
That was because I was confused and didn't know where to go.
So we did that, went for our run, got that knocked out, felt good for doing something. And then Sante Adarius Rustic Ales, also known as Sarah, is in Santa Cruz, and I wanted to go over there. So we went over there, drank a few beers. The IPAs that we got were just okay. The standout was their Saison Bernice that we got, which is their mixed fermentation beer. I'd go back for Saison Bernice.
Did we get anything to go from there?
No.
We should have gotten that beer to go. It was really good.
They did have Saison Bernice to go. I think it was like $20 or $25 for a 750 ml bottle.
So expensive.
That was why I wanted a pour of it on draft. I was like, I'll just pay the elevated draft prices and enjoy it here. And then I thought about it afterwards. I think we had this conversation. I think it was $25, and I was upset because their outdoor area sucks for dogs, and it was cold that night.
It was cold.
And I was pissed that they didn't have any heaters.
They didn't have any heaters.
And there's like no thought whatsoever put to the poor people that want to take their dog everywhere.
Well, there were two other people that
ended up. There were people that didn't have dogs that were sitting outside.
But I think that was because one of them had a mask on, so I'm assuming he didn't want to be in the crowded indoor area around potentially sick people.
Yeah, so I had already said, if I'm spending $25 on something, I'd rather spend $25 on a nice bottle of wine than give $25 to a brewery that doesn't care about providing a comfortable environment for the people that have to sit outside because you're not dog friendly inside.
Or that don't want to be around sick people.
So, I don't know. They made their money off of our draft pours, but they missed out on $25 because they're inconsiderate towards people that have to sit outside with their dogs.
They also had pizza that smelled really good, but we refrained from.
They had pizza that smelled really good that was also expensive. I think it was like $25 for a pizza.
And it was what? Detroit-style pizza?
Detroit-style pizza, which I would have enjoyed more than you. So I can't not recommend Sarah. Their mixed fermentation stuff is really good. They're really well known for an apricot sour that they do, or a peach sour. They do a lot of saisons, mixed fermentation, sour type stuff, and then they'll do some more more mainstream type styles, IPAs, Pilsners, traditional Pilsners. They do some Belgian style stuff. So they've got an eclectic collection of things. It's a nice place to go.
We should have gone to a bottle shop to look and see if they had, what'd you say?
Saison Bernice.
For cheaper than.
We can find it. I don't know if we can find it or not. We'll keep an eye out for it. So we finished up over there and then drove back over to where we had parked originally at West Cliff Drive in order to take showers and eat din din. So we went over there and sat for a little while and did that stuff. And then
we went and got overwhelmed.
And then it was time for the good stuff. We left and went to Mary Ann's Ice Cream, which is, again, in Santa Cruz. Mary Ann's is not a chain, but they have multiple locations.
Yeah, I think like 3 in the Santa Cruz area.
And I would consider them to be regional. Businesses use their ice cream for scooping on site. So they're local. They're very local. They make a ton of flavors.
Yeah, you said they have, what, over 200 flavors?
I think in their catalog, they have over 200 flavors.
And they have like 100 at a time.
There were so many.
Like, said 100
looking
on
back
draft.
at the wall, I can't even imagine how many dozen they had available. And then to you and me, it's just absolute overload trying to figure out. It was.
And they don't have descriptions of anything, so you have to stand there.
You have to be a pain and ask the employees about everything, but the employee we got was amazing.
Yeah, he was great, and he was not hesitant to give samples either.
He was helpful.
Was super nice.
He was happy. People, when you're scooping ice cream, come on, it's not that hard. You work inside in air conditioning. You're getting paid. You're in California. You're getting paid minimum wage, which is not nothing in California to scoop ice cream. Like, this man was all about it.
I'd probably be in an angry mood if I had to sit and scoop ice cream all day and didn't get to sample some. Sometimes I wonder if they sample.
Oh, I'd be sampling all the time. I'd be like, I need to know. The people.
Why aren't we profiting? Jake's eating all the ice cream.
People have questions. I need to have answers. He was fantastic. He got a tip.
Do you remember what flavors we got?
I remember what flavors I got because I take notes for our travels. I got the Alice B. Talkless Fudge Brownie and the chocolate chip swirl. It was absolute chocolate madness, and I've been in a huge chocolate mood lately, and I loved it. It was so good. It was so creamy, so chocolatey, so rich.
I remember what I got.
What did you get?
Sea salt caramel and German chocolate.
Yeah, you did. I didn't like your German chocolate. It tasted artificial.
But the sea salt caramel was delicious, and I didn't have a problem with the German chocolate.
The sea salt caramel was super creamy, very good.
Swirls of caramel.
I definitely preferred mine, but I was in a chocolate mood, and when you want chocolate, there's nothing that can really beat that. But that finished up our day. I think I added Mary Ann's to our best of ice cream. Yeah, I did. So Mary Ann's is in the best of category for ice cream. We finished up that night. Went and camped, and then woke up the next morning, and it was time for donuts.
This isn't going to shock anybody considering it's one of my top 5 favorite foods, but I've been in such a donut mood lately.
You were in a donut mood on the way down.
All day, every day.
That's why we stopped at
Forno.
I'm not going to be able to find it.
Il Forno.
Il Forno?
Yeah. That did not satisfy the donut craving.
Yeah,
so
we stopped at Il Forno because you were in a donut mood on day 1. So we went to 2 donut shops the next day. We went to Donut Station. That was the one that had the cinnamon twist that was so good. They had the cinnamon twist. They had the they had the old fashioned that was really good.
Okay.
And we got the fritter. And I said we didn't need to get it again. Yes, that picture. The fritter was very crispy on the edges, close to being oversaturated with oil, I think. It was nice and soft in the center. Didn't have a ton of apple mix in. Just we ate it.
Okay.
But we wouldn't have to get it again. I said very slight apple flavor. You really get it in the center. The edges are crisp and crunchy. Good amount of cinnamon. The center was my favorite part. Good fritter, but not my favorite. I wouldn't get it before I tried other donuts from there. So the cinnamon twist and the old fashioned were the 2 standouts there. I think for me, it was the old fashioned over the cinnamon twist. Are you smiling about Dunlap's next? So we went to Dunlap's. You want to talk about them?
Dunlap's had quite a variety.
They had a huge variety.
Yeah, they did.
We had a huge variety of your picture.
So there we got a strawberry mochi donut,
Yeah.
a maple cronut, and an apple fritter. And did we decide to eat the we were like, let's eat the strawberry mochi first
Yeah.
because we didn't have a whole lot of faith in it, I don't think, or it had the most potential to not be good. And then it was, I think, both of our favorites.
Yeah, it was one of the best things we had the entire trip.
The mochi donut was on point, and I would definitely go back for those. And then we ate the maple cronut, which I thought the maple was a little sweet for me.
Yeah.
And Jake really liked it, but Jake likes sweeter things than me.
Yeah. I can eat a spoonful of sugar, baby.
And then their fritter was good.
Very average fritter. Nothing at all wrong with it besides just not being as good as others. It had the right amount of a crisp edge and a soft center. The glaze was good. There was a good amount of apple filling, but it didn't carry much flavor. The fritter itself could have used more cinnamon. For most people, they would probably say it was a really good fritter. For you and me,
we have high standards.
Yeah, we
would, and if when we go back, we would definitely go back to that donut shop. And when we did, we would get, I think, probably more mochi donuts and cronut, and maybe try a yeast raised.
I'd go back to both of those donut shops. I wouldn't turn anybody away from either one. I wouldn't say that you'd have to get a fritter from either one, but people might go to those two and think that those two places have a much better apple fritter than any other place that we've just absolutely lost our minds over, saying like Big Dog has an amazing apple fritter, and somebody goes over there and they're like, this apple fritter is terrible. I went to Dunlap's and their apple fritter was amazing. So I don't know. I wouldn't turn anybody away from either one of these places. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the fritter at Donut Station, but I don't know. They make it the way they make it.
And we read reviews about them, and people said really good things about them in reviews, so it must just be our taste.
We did read reviews where people said that they were the best fritters they've ever had. So we left there, went to 11th hour coffee because we needed to fill one day with coffee in order to make our coffee reserves last. Don't worry, everybody. I know you were very concerned about how I came up with a way for us to get more coffee in the van for us to enjoy our cold brew.
It was very successful.
It was very successful. I brewed coffee for like 3 days leading up to the trip and stored it in 2 blender bottles and the mason jar that we make the coffee in. So we had 2 for 6 days worth of coffee. And it didn't take up a ton of room in the fridge, as long as we're cognizant of keeping the fridge. We don't need to have 8 energy drinks and 17 protein drinks in the fridge at one time.
No, because that would take away room for the beer.
Yeah, but the beer is like dedicated on the bottom shelf now. So, and I took the drawers out, so there's even more room down there now. So we're good. We're slowly figuring out how to fit as much possible into the fridge as possible. But we went to 11th hour coffee because we needed a day of coffee, and we prefer to go to places that make their own syrups. I think that's our barometer for what we want in a coffee shop.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to, what's that brand?
I don't know. I don't even want to know the name because I don't want to promote the name. If Starbucks or any of these other places where you just have these pumps of bottles, artificial flavors, I don't know.
You just pay so much for something that is zero effort.
And it doesn't taste like coffee anymore. I'm going to get on my soapbox of saying you don't actually like coffee. You just like sugary, sweet drinks that just happen to have caffeine in them. But I drink my coffee black, so I don't know.
Not whatever. When we go to these coffee shops.
I'm also bougie and I drink single origin stuff. So there are people that would talk about me not being able to drink just good old fashioned Folgers.
But you didn't drink your coffee black.
I did not. I actually got my cold brew with a single squirt of homemade vanilla syrup and just a splash of oat milk.
And I got a caramel latte, which was an iced caramel latte because I don't do hot coffee. And it was super delicious. Such a good flavor. I just wish I had gotten an extra shot in it to make it. They definitely made it, with a lot of milk.
Yeah.
So that it didn't have as much coffee flavor as I would have liked, but the flavor that it did have was delicious. So it
was very good. I think your go-to drink now needs to be whatever caramel latte you get with an extra shot.
Yeah, because I need the caffeine all the time.
And it tastes better. Just that little bit of extra coffee flavor. So we got our coffees and then went again back to West Cliff Drive. West Cliff Drive was just a really pretty spot. Free parking, nice sidewalk to walk on. It's just so pretty. I love walking along the shoreline and having birds and
Waves
and just other people out enjoying the weather.
And there were nice public bathrooms there.
There were nice public bathrooms there. So we went there and went for a little 2.5 mile walk with the dog to get some movement. And we finished up in Santa Cruz. And was there anything else you wanted to cover for that area before we go north?
I think that was our time in Santa Cruz.
So we jumped on Highway 1. We tried to stop. I tried taking Whitney to a sea lion overlook, an elephant seal overlook, but the road that I wanted to go down was for authorized vehicles only. And then in order to get to the trailhead to access the elephant seal overlook, you had to pay to get into the state park. And then it was like a 4-mile walk to get out there.
And I don't think it was dog friendly.
And it probably wasn't dog friendly. So we passed that up and decided to go to Half Moon Bay Coastal Trail. And this ended up being a whole thing. If you're in an RV, you're obviously going to go to the RV park that's over there, which is the way to go. We were in the van. We paid to park at the coastal trail, and then we needed fresh water in the van because we were out of water. So then we had to pay for entry into the state park / campground area. Whereas if we would have done our due diligence first and figured out where we were going to get water from, we could have just paid to park at the state park and filled up our water and parked over there. When we ran on the coastal trail, we did another 4-mile run over there. It was just confusing. We spent $22 total to park at 2 different places. We could have just parked at the state park / campground and gotten our water and been done with it in one shot. Yeah. But you live and you learn.
And it's a nice long trail. There's a paved trail. I was trying to look at it on All Trails to see if I could figure out how long it is.
It's not going to work.
It was working.
If I had the WeBoost set up, we'd be golden right now.
Maybe.
You'd have internet for days.
I don't know. This weather.
Get a Starlink.
Too cheap for that.
So 4-mile run. It was a nice trail. I didn't like it quite as much as West Cliff and Santa Cruz.
Well, it was more just along the beach, not like up on a cliff.
Yeah, and part of it wasn't even on the beach.
Yeah, we did end up going away from the beach a little bit.
But it was a nice little spot to go walk. Not as busy as Santa Cruz, but still fairly busy. A lot of people out on their bikes. A lot of people out walking. Good spot. Half Moon Bay. I don't know if there's much in Half Moon Bay to go do. I think I just picked it because it was a free parking area. Or no, it was a parking area with a trailhead so that we could go for a run. And more importantly, it was right next to the highway that we needed to go inland to go and get lunch. Are we ready to talk about lunch?
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a whole thing.
Jake's gonna ramble about this.
Probably. So we went inland into San Mateo, California, and Instagram introduced me to Suavecito, Birria, and Tacos with one of their reels. I'm making hand gestures right now, and Whitney's making fun of me. So there was a young man that made a reel about this literal hole-in-the-wall restaurant. It's not even a food truck.
This was so funny. It's literally a walk-up window.
It's a door.
Oh, was it a door?
It's just a door cut in half.
Oh, okay. I didn't go over there, so I didn't realize it was a door. When I told you that,
Did you fart?
He's not talking to me, by the way. He's talking to Sandy.
Okay.
When you came and sat back in the van and you were like, help me keep an eye out for her to wave out the window when our food is ready. And I was like, you need to pay attention or you're going to make her walk out. I was like, there's no door. She's going to have to walk out out the back of the building and come around or something.
She wouldn't have been able to walk out that door anyway.
Oh, okay.
It was fixed shut. She wouldn't have been able to come out right there. So you walk up and it's in an industrial area. There's no parking. You park on the shoulder of the road, the curb, and it's a door that's just sitting there. Very nondescript. You wouldn't think much of it.
You wouldn't think anything of it.
You're not going to drive down that.
People standing outside of it.
There were a ton of people. Everybody was waiting on food. Like there's no real obvious sign or anything. You could drive right past it. I don't.
As we were driving up, I was like,
Where are you taking me?
no, I was like, this is obviously not the right location because there's nothing here.
There's no food truck here. So we get there. We got the 24 karat burrito. It's a 24 karat California burrito. California burritos, to the best of my knowledge, what makes something a California burrito normally, I think, is they add French fries to it.
Yeah, I was going to say potato of some sort.
As opposed to this one, they add tater tots to it. I think the only special things about this burrito, it's gigantic. We split one, and we got it with birria. It had a ton of avocado. It had an orange sauce. It had cheese. It had tater tots. I don't remember what else. Did I say we got it with birria?
Yeah, you did.
We got it with birria. They do charge. There is a slight upcharge for birria. The young lady said that steak and birria were her two favorite fillings, and I'm gonna say yes to birria every time. So I got birria, and then we also got an order of quesabirria, which of course came as a set of 3. Top 3 quesabirria ever. We already had Taco Day, where Whitney and I went and had quesabirria in Manchester, Tennessee. This stands with me, Portranca, in Manchester that we enjoyed so much. This stands with Los Tacos Bros. What?
Are you not going to mention your other favorite birria that you've ever had?
My case in Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first birria I ever had. So I think back on the quesabirria that I got in Washington, and I hold that in a special place in my heart. But I wonder how much of that, the service was absolutely fantastic. They made their own delicious like chili paste that was super hot and super delicious. And it was the first quesabirria I ever had. So like,
is it as good as you remember?
Is it as good as I remember? But these were so good. I mean, the quesabirria was good. The burrito was good. It was expensive. We spent $45 on one burrito and an order of quesabirria.
But it was a hefty amount of food.
I was full after half a burrito and 2 quesabirrias.
Yeah.
So.
And I liked the burrito more than the quesabirria. The burrito was on point.
The burrito. Best burrito I've ever had.
Oh, and they're green. What's that green stuff?
The green.
Tomatillo.
Was it like a tomatillo sauce?
Yeah, tomatillo sauce.
It was salsa. Really good.
That was really good too.
That was the best green sauce I've ever had. Sometimes they're just like acid or bitter.
Now I want to go back.
It was so good.
Oh, that's in the it's south of San Francisco, but we could make that drive.
Yeah. Oh, if we make the drive to San Francisco, we can absolutely go down to San Mateo.
Oh, I meant the drive to San Francisco. We can make that drive.
Yeah. $45 for a big burrito. I'm gonna have to listen back to this. I don't know if I swore when I was talking about this the first time. I already had to censor out your B word from the last episode.
Rude.
So $45 for a really big burrito that can be split between 2 people or fill 1 person up, and then an order of quesabirria that's just cheesy birria goodness. The consomme, oh man, the consomme itself was just so good. I drank it just to make sure it didn't go to waste. Look, I don't know. They say they use prime grade meat for their birria. There's only like 3 or 4 people working in the kitchen. I don't care. It was expensive, but I don't care. I'd spend it again. I'd spend twice that for the same amount of food. Whatever. Just go. It was so good. I can't tell you to go enough. We left there. We were continuing north. We stopped on Nicole's recommendation. Nicole is one of Whitney's friends, Nicole and Johnny Tsunami. She recommended that we go to a chain bakery,
85 degrees.
85 degrees bakery, which I don't know, if you've never been on the West Coast, you might have never heard of.
Well, I think she said that they have some up maybe in Seattle now, but they're primarily California, big city California, not like rural areas. And it's, I think, started off as a Vietnamese bakery.
So I was going to say Korean, but I could see Vietnamese.
I could be wrong. It was either Vietnamese or Korean. I can't remember.
It's very cheap, very affordable. I would imagine fairly high quality baked goods that are individually wrapped. A lot of breads, a lot of sweet doughs, strawberry layer cakes, very simple stuff, very Asian centric stuff. I think they might have had some ubi stuff. I'm trying to remember what else.
Like milk breads.
That was like
that's Asian stuff, right?
Yeah. I hope we're not being racist right now. Cheap, but I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't have to have it again. Granted, we didn't get any of the bread. I got a piece of red velvet cake, which was very unimpressive, and you got a piece of cocoa coated chocolate indulgent cake that I think I liked more than you.
No, I loved the cake. I thought it was really good. I should have just tipped it on its side to knock all that cocoa powder off.
Deluxe chocolate mousse cake is what you got.
And that was, I would go back for that.
Moist and decadent. The cocoa powder that wraps the cake was off-putting for you, but I enjoyed it. Pleasant experience. I would get it again if we went back. But I said, at the end of the day, I don't feel the need to go back to the bakery. But if you said you wanted to go back, then I wouldn't say no. It's just not. I think I prefer French patisserie, laminated dough, bougie, expensive.
I guess they didn't really have any laminated
pastries.
Dough stuff there, did they?
No, it was mostly enriched dough, like brioche type stuff, and then little cakes. So we finished that. I don't know if I said it. That was in Daly City, but they have multiple locations. So we finished over there, and we made our way up to San Francisco and walked around the Golden Gate Bridge area.
Yeah, we were in San Francisco, so we stopped on the south side of the bridge and walked to a couple of viewpoints on the west side of the bridge, southwest side of the bridge with Sandy. And then she had her fill. She got worn out on this trip. She did a lot of walking, and it was a lot of days.
She did do a lot of walking.
So we walked with her for, I don't know, mile and a half maybe.
Yeah.
And then deposited her in the van to rest. And then we went and walked, stayed on the south side, but walked to the east side and walked around Crissy Field, which I'm not really sure what Crissy Field is. I think it's famous for some reason, but I don't really know why.
You said
I never
that
looked.
when we were walking around it. You asked me if I knew anything about it, and I know nothing about it.
Yeah, so we walked around that area and looked at the bridge and walked, I don't know, I think a little over 4 miles. And then
did a good bit of walking.
And then when we were done with that, it was getting close to evening time, and we were going to go cross the bridge for the night and stay on the north side of the bridge for the night. But as we were leaving and driving out, I realized that one of the visitor centers or information centers or whatever for the Golden Gate National Recreation Area was still open, because it was a little after 5:30, I think, so I was surprised they were still open. So Jake whipped into a parking spot, and then I went inside real quick and got my souvenir and my passport book stamped. And then we went and got a burger.
I was going to say, while you were inside, I made the executive decision that we were going to go to the burger pop-up that you were talking about.
So I was looking, I don't remember when I was doing this, but a couple months ago or something, I was looking for the best smash burgers in San Francisco, and I found 3 places, and none of them were open during the normal daytime hours. But one of them that's supposed to have one of the best smash burgers in San Francisco. What was the name of it?
It was Maillard's. And it was a pop-up at Heritage Restaurant.
Yeah, they do a pop-up on what day was that?
Oh, I didn't write the
Monday,
day down.
Because they were, I think it was Monday, Tuesday.
Doesn't matter.
Either Monday or Tuesday. It does, because people need to know when they can find them.
Oh, look them up on social media.
Oh, is that what we're doing now? I should look them up on social media? That is.
Well, I'll probably link to them.
Social media is the only place that accurately, I think Instagram is where I found where they were each day. Their website doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because they pop up at like the farmer's market, Heritage, and then I think they also go to a brewery one day.
But I mean, I link to most of these, every place on my Instagram posts whenever I make the social media blasts about these episodes being posted. So if you follow us on Instagram, then you can find all the places that we talk about. For now, in the show notes, I'm adding Google Map links to all the places that will fit in the show notes. I only have so many characters that I'm allowed to put in the show notes from Buzzsprout. So no one looks at the show notes, but if you go back to the show notes for our first episode, there was just too much stuff to list, so I could only fit so much stuff. But everything else is fit in the show notes for all the following episodes. So I try to make it easy when we talk about these places. You can go to the show notes, I put the name of it, and then I put a link to them on Google Maps, because that's what we use.
Or if you can't find it, how we link it, you can always reach out.
It's in the show notes. And then also, if you go to Instagram and look at the posts for the episode blasts, then I tag everyone that has a social media on their pictures whenever I post the pictures. So I really try to make it as easy as possible to access these places that we talk about. I know if you're listening to this when you're out and about doing something, you don't exactly have the opportunity to write everything down if you're at all interested or have the opportunity to go to the end of places that we talk about. So I try to make it easy on social media for you to reference the things that we talk about and be able to find them at your own leisure, in your own means and efficiency. But that's enough words for now. What were you going to say?
So we went and got this burger at this pop-up, and Jake enjoyed his burger more than I enjoyed my burger.
I enjoyed mine very much, which I'm sure you find surprising because I got a spicy burger instead of just a plain burger like I always get.
So normally they only do like, what, 2 different burgers, I think?
I think so.
They do maybe 2 different burgers, but for that week they had a specialty burger, it was a hot burger. It had like peppers. Did it have a hot sauce on it? I don't remember. Maybe a jalapeno sauce.
I think it had like a jalapeno aioli.
So Jake got that one, which normally I'm the person that gets those burgers.
I was really surprised you didn't get that burger.
Well, I wanted to get their traditional burger that you can get all the time
for a fair comparison.
To have a comparison.
I didn't care about that. I just wanted what was good.
Because if we go back in the future and that burger's not available, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
I'm not.
You will, because my burger was not that good. I said it.
I'll do the same thing I did with mine. I'll get a sauce on the side and I'll just smother it in sauce because we all know. So another thing about Jake and how he eats, everything is how much sauce can you deliver to your mouth. French fries are not French fries. French fries are ketchup.
Spoons for sauce.
Yes, they are ketchup and special sauce delivery mechanisms with salt and a little bit of crunch. And it's the same thing for a burger. A burger does nothing more than deliver a delicious sauce to me. And it just so happens to have delicious meat and cheese and pickles and
That's not true
bread.
Because the burger in Nashville does not need extra sauce.
Dream burger?
That.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's delicious on its own as it is.
My yard was definitely not a dream burger.
Mm-mm.
It was good, not
I
great.
should have taken a bite of your burger.
You
I
should
don't know
have.
why I didn't.
My yard was good, not great. I don't know. I would recommend you go if you like smash burgers. It was, I think it was good.
It was good. I would not go back before trying the other 2 burger places that we have saved in San Francisco.
And we might be able to try them. I don't know how many trips we'll actually make down to San Francisco, but I'm sure smash burgers are always high on the list of priorities whenever it comes to us finding savory food. We have a very short list of savory food that we'll go after. Burgers, pizza, Mexican food, sandwiches. So
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess the list isn't that short if you think about it. It's kind of expansive, but we don't just go out for anything and everything that we can get our mouths on. They did let Sandy inside, which was nice. We thought we were going to have to get it to go and eat it in the van.
You're maybe not supposed to say that to people. They maybe weren't supposed to do that.
If health and safety is listening, Sandy is our daughter. She's not at all. Moving on. So we finished up over there, got my yards, went and parked for the night, woke up the next morning, and wanted to go on a hike. And there were trails right next to where we camped that night. So we woke up, did our morning walk, drank our coffee, moved around the parking lot, let Sandy move a little bit. Again, Sandy's not a dog. Sandy's our child. If health and safety is listening.
She is a child. Look at her.
She is a child. Got done with our morning routine and went on the SCA trail to Slacker Hill Trail.
Well, we tried to go to Slacker Hill.
We made it up to, we were like 200 yards away from summiting the trail that we were on, and we think we saw a bobcat. Initially, Whitney was like, is that a mountain lion? But it was kind of small in stature to be a mountain lion. It could have been a small mountain lion, but I never saw a tail. It looked like a nubbin. And unless it was a mountain lion that had lost its tail, which is very possible, it was definitely moving like a large cat. It was not a house cat. It was not a raccoon. It was a decent sized cat of some type. Many people would have continued on.
We
Whitney
didn't
and
want to
I,
disturb it.
we didn't want to disturb it. We respect nature. Keep wild, wild. Don't disturb animals. I don't like putting animals in a position where they could become hurt in retaliation for hurting a person. So it wasn't that important to me to get up to the summit of this trailhead, and possibly ruin this animal's day or possibly ruin our day because the animal was scared. It could be nesting, it could have babies. There's just too much to consider. And I don't know. It's just not that important to me to disturb an animal who has more right to be there than I do. So we turned around and immediately saw a group of people come around the corner completely unknowing that we had just seen a small cat of some type
Or a large cat.
or a large cat, depending on how you look at it. They had no idea it was there. Neither of them probably knew the other was there. I guess the cat possibly knew that group of people were there, but they never knew that cat was there. So of course we had the thought in our mind like, oh, they're up there. The cat must be gone. It's totally okay for us to go back. No, we just continued down the mountain. It wasn't that big a deal. We got our hike in. We got some movement in. We did something. We can go back. That trail's still going to be there the next time we go down there. So it wasn't the end of the world. Nobody cried. It was fine. Got back to the van. You want to say anything else about the San Francisco area before we get back on Highway 1 to 101 and get going north?
Nah, I had to work the next day, so we decided to go ahead and drive home that day.
And the longest stretch of road was in front of us. We had a long way to go. It was a full day of driving.
Yeah, so we got on the road and we decided not to take Highway 1 north because that would make the drive that much longer. We decided to take 101.
I don't know if we would have done that in one day. Highway 1 up to 101 where one ends would have just been such a long drive.
Yeah, and we know we want to go back to that area again while we're out here, so it's not like we won't see it again.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go down to Fort Bragg, Mendocino. That's a lot of stretch of Highway 1. There's not much between, I don't think there's much between San Francisco and Mendocino on Highway 1.
As far as cities go,
as far as cities, it's kind of sparse. I'm sure there's plenty to see. I'm sure it's pretty. But as far as like stuff goes, there's not much.
Bodega Bay, which we've been to.
We've been to Bodega Bay. But
so, we'll hit those areas again.
So we did that, and I think I had a hankering for more stuff. I wasn't done spending money. I think Whitney was kind of done. I'm not sure. I think she wanted stuff. She said she wasn't in a decision-making mood, so she didn't want to be the one to say where she wanted to go. I tried going to a place for coffee, but it was just another place that was just extremely out of control as far as their prices go. Look, I want the farmers who make coffee to earn a living. They deserve to be compensated for their beans, but I can't see the financial breakdowns for these businesses and know how much of this is just generating sheer profit for the simple sake of capitalism and how much is going to the farmers and how much is going for employees. Not to say that the employees at this coffee shop were anything short of not impressive, but if I'm paying you $30 for a 12-ounce bag of coffee, I need to see a financial breakdown that says that these farmers are getting a healthy chunk of that. Otherwise, no, I don't care about buying you a Lamborghini because you got rich, because you watched a YouTube video about starting a coffee business and how your profit margins are astronomical. I don't care. Soapbox gone. We stopped at Quail and Condor in Healdsburg, California. We'd been there before. I didn't leave a review. I knew it was delicious. I wanted to go back.
You hearted it on Google.
I did heart it.
On Google Maps.
Because we enjoyed it very much.
So that's how we knew we liked it without a review.
Yeah. And I remembered going to it. I hearted it when we were down in Healdsburg before.
Right.
So yeah, we got a plain croissant. I put it in my notes, always get a plain croissant. Their plain croissants are just so good. It's just such a good, buttery, flaky, traditional, straight up delicious croissant. 100%. If you go for anything, I say go for a croissant. The mini oatmeal cream pie, I don't know if I'd have to have again. It was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it again.
It was just a good oatmeal cookie that could have been moister.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of flaky. You're showing me the picture of, so I think this is where we diverge from each other a little bit, where you loved the chocolate cake slice that we got. I thought the bread pudding was amazing because we got a slice of bread pudding
I don't even have a picture of the bread pudding.
that they made with leftover scraps.
How did I not take a picture of the bread pudding? Did you take a picture of the bread pudding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They made their bread pudding with leftover baked goods, croissants, cakes.
It was so custardy
It
and
was so
wet.
custardy.
It was good.
So I think that kind of made me think of more like a homemade type thing as opposed to like a professional level perfected baked good, which kind of made me like it even more because I just like having something that I could picture having. Like, if I'm going to say this and it's going to be like, well, Whitney said it's not a perfect bread pudding, so why would you say this? But if we went to Mama's house and she was like, I made a bread pudding, like, that's what I would expect it to be like.
It was just so different. I think I was just thrown off by it because it was so different than a bread pudding that you normally get from a bakery, because they tend to be like dry. And this was like the
Moist.
far extreme the other way.
It was amazing. I would take this bread pudding over any bread pudding I've ever had at any restaurant before.
But the best part about it was, I don't remember if you said this just now, was that they used their leftover scraps.
Yeah.
So it was just like a plethora of different things.
You got different textures. You got different flavors. There were some bites you were like, oh, that bite was really good. And then you take another bite and you'd be like, oh, that bite was really good too. But it was different from the other bite that I just took.
And it kept them from wasting all of their old stuff.
It kept anything from going to waste. I am a proponent of just giving it away. If you've got stuff that you can't sell, give it to a food bank or a shelter. I don't understand if there are laws or like health and food regulations that keep places from donating food. It's the dumbest thing. No one can explain away whatever kind of stupid rule there is that you can't just give food away to people that need food or business owners that don't just want to give food away. I don't know how many soapboxes I've been on in this episode.
No more. That's your last one.
I could get on this one too. We love quail and condor. Quail and condor is really good. And as much as we're talking good about quail and condor, our next stop was even better.
Didn't we get a couple bags of coffee from there?
We did, but it's not like it was quail and condor's coffee.
No, but it was a roaster that you had been looking at that was expensive on their website, and we were able to get it for cheaper. Like, when I looked at their website, do you remember the name of the roaster?
I don't. Roasted oak. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But they sold it for like $19 or $20 on their website, and then Quail and Condor had it for $15.
18 or 15?
15.
Okay, because we bought 2 bags. So yeah, it was a good price. I mean, that's more in line with what I'm willing to pay for single origin, small batch roasted coffee.
And then
way more in line.
And then we continued our drive north, and we needed to get gas on the way.
Yeah, we did.
And I was scouring for the cheapest gas, and the cheapest gas was in Ukiah.
Yeah, Ukiah.
And obviously, when I'm looking in a town, on Google Maps, I look for other things that may be of interest. And there was a donut shop that was super highly rated. What was the name of it?
Sonny's
Donuts.
Sonny's Donuts was so good.
So I told Jake that he could just make a little detour on the way to the gas station, and we pulled into Sonny's Donuts, and these are the best donuts of the year so far.
Oh, yeah. Blow everything else out of the water. So good. We
got a cinnamon braid, not a twist, a braid.
A braid.
We got a chocolate sprinkle. There's something buried under
an apple fritter.
Did we get an apple fritter?
Yeah. And she gave us free donut holes.
I don't have a picture of the apple fritter.
The donut holes were so good.
The fritter is buried under the pile of donut holes that she gave us.
All these donuts were so good. We always say, oh, it was so good. Oh, it was so good.
I know.
Sonny's might be the best stop of the entire trip. As good as Suavecitos was, as much as I say it was the best burrito I've ever had, and the quesabirria was the top 3 quesabirria. And then I said something about another place that we stopped at that was so good. The Bakeries, Ad Astra, and Alta were so good. I think Sonny's might be the standout. It's either Sonny's or Suavecitos as far as the best food. Oh, but then I'm also thinking about flapjacks and the pancakes.
Oh, the pancakes. But what about the Mochi donut?
Collectively, the Mochi donut was really good, but it's not like everything from
true.
Dunlap's was as good as that Mochi donut. Everything from Sonny's was amazing. Those donut holes are everything I've been craving, because I've been saying I've been in a donut hole mood, and then she threw a handful of donut holes in the box and absolutely made my day. And they were so good. I don't know. there aren't enough superlatives for me to properly explain how good Sonny's was.
And that was super exciting, a super exciting find because it's right there on 101. And like, if we make more trips south, we'll have to drive past there. So we have to stop.
And they're open 24 hours.
Yeah, which is weird.
Which is awesome.
Like, that's not that big of a city.
Yeah, but I love it.
Why is a donut shop open 24/7?
Don't complain.
I'm not.
I would
never.
I think it's amazing. But yeah.
So that was our last.
Technically, that's the end of the trip because
that was our last stop.
The next thing we did was make it to Crescent City. So Sonny's was the last thing we did. That was the end of the trip.
Finished on a high note.
Are we preparing to go to, do we want to give a sneak peek for what our next trip is?
Next trip will be probably a not super long trip, but we should be going up to Portland.
For?
We're not going to tell them.
Not going to tell them?
No.
Okay. So we're going to Portland in a few days, our time. We might post pictures on Instagram as a sneak peek, but I'm not sure. I don't know when I'm going to start posting pictures. I was going to say,
that's up to you. You're the social media manager.
So that's it. This has been an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's long enough. So.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.